What's good, guys? Sports Runs on Diesel here with you. Back at you with another fantasy football episode, part 2 of the series, talking about quarterbacks today and when you should draft them, who you should be targeting in the draft, who you should be staying away from, and who has a lot of upside as the season goes along this year. So we're going to start off with our QB1s, everything from right off the bat, Mahomes, Watson, Rodgers, Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, Andrew Luck, question mark, Cam Newton, question mark, Baker Mayfield, and Jackson, question mark. Those guys I have question marks on because these guys have all upside potential in terms of being huge for their teams this year, putting up big fantasy stat numbers, especially mobile quarterbacks like Mahomes, Watson, Rodgers, Jackson, those guys who can extend plays and potentially get out of the pocket. Russell Wilson's on that list. These guys all have, I think they're all quarterback ones this year. But there is a high risk, high reward with these quarterbacks running out of the pocket, getting yards. There's more potential of them getting hurt and getting seriously hit by somebody. So you have to run that into consideration with these quarterbacks who do run and get out of the pocket and extend plays. The more of the chance of them getting hurt, even though I highly doubt that will ever happen with Patrick Mahomes and some of these other quarterbacks. Andrew Luck, it all depends. His QB1 status all depends on one guy, and that is T.Y. Hilton. If he doesn't have his top wideout, it's going to be a long season for him. I should say it's going to be a long season, but he's not going to be putting up the fantasy type numbers that we're accustomed seeing when T.Y. Hilton is playing. Cam Newton, injuries. He's coming off that arthroscopic can't even talk today, guys. Shoulder injury. He had some surgery on it. We will see how he responds to this. He's got a good. He has a good core of wide receivers. Not the best core wide receivers. Funches. DJ Moore. He's got a good core wide receivers. Greg Olsen, can't forget about Greg Olsen. And then he's also got one of my favorite running backs in the league, Christian McCaffrey, one of the best running backs in the league, can pass catch, can even do a little bit of blocking for you in the pass game scheme in terms of blocking. So but even though he's a little undersized, Christian McCaffrey, but he gets the job done as a running back, and it all depends on all these things and how Cam Newton responds to this. That's why Cam Newton is a fringe quarterback one. I think he can make a quarterback one status for the season. We'll see what happens. Baker Mayfield of Cleveland, I think he's going to be a QB1 this year by far. I think OBJ, Jarvis Landry, Kareem Hunt is going to miss the first 8 weeks of the season, but when he comes back from suspension, Cleveland is going to be a dangerous team overall. Running, passing, defense, you name it. Baker Mayfield, I think, is going to have a QB1 type of a year with the wide receivers he's got. Tight end wise, Njoku, a great tight end with a lot of upside. I definitely do think that Baker Mayfield will be a QB1. Lamar Jackson, it's going to be tough with Lamar Jackson because Mark Ingram's on that team, and they could be a potential. I'm not saying they'll potentially be a run-heavy offense, but they're pointing towards that direction with the power back of Mark Ingram. And Lamar Jackson's really good at extending plays. Even though he didn't play many games last year, he played a couple of playoff games with Joe Flacco and the drama with Joe Flacco and the injuries or whatever going on. I do love the potential of Lamar Jackson. He could potentially be a QB1 with the upside of this Baltimore team. And with as great as that defense is looking on paper right now with Earl Thomas in the back there with other guys, I do think Baltimore's defense could potentially lead Lamar Jackson to having more possessions, more points, and bigger games coming up. But Lamar Jackson's extending of plays and his and his running ability is going to be big in terms of how much of a QB1 he's going to be this season. But something to keep an eye on, Lamar Jackson being a QB1 this year. Is he good for your opening quarterback position, starting quarterback position? No. You got to give it the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season before you make that decision. So Lamar Jackson's another fringe QB1, has the upside to be a QB1 this year. QB2, the biggest mistake everyone makes every season, and Matthew Berry highlights this every year. Do not pick Tom Brady. Please do not pick Tom Brady. I'm being dead serious by that. Tom Brady should not be your starting quarterback, because I've seen situations where I've been in fantasy leagues where someone has Tom Brady as their starting QB. And then Matt Ryan is the backup QB. Matt Ryan's putting up way more consistent points than Tom Brady. And then the 1 week you put Matt Ryan in over Tom Brady has more points than Matt Ryan. So it's don't pick Tom Brady as your starting QB. Do not as your QB1. He is a backup QB for when your QB1 has a bye week. That's plain and simple. Tom Brady should be now I'm telling you, pick some of the guys on the offense. Julian Edelman, by far, pick Julian Edelman. He's a green light for me in terms of being a wide receiver one, fringe wide receiver one. He's more. It depends on healthiness of him. Even though Julian Edelman's been very healthy, he's been stronger than ever since that ACL tear a couple of years ago. So I love Julian Edelman as a wide receiver one. James White, definitely pick him. The running back there, great pass catcher, good runner, speedy runner. So there's a couple plays you want to pick from New England, but don't pick Tom Brady as your starting QB unless he's the best available. And even then, I would pick a quarterback that has more upside than Tom Brady in fantasy point world. So that's my issue with Tom Brady. Dak Prescott's another one as a QB2. Now, he has upside to be a QB1, but with Ezekiel Elliott and the new contract that's been negotiated, they're going to be a run-heavy offense. Ezekiel Elliott gets 25 to 30 touches a game. And Dak Prescott's got good wide receivers. Mike Gallup. He's got, what's his name? Allen Hurns. And then, he's just got a potential in the wide receiver core. I'm forgetting the wide receiver one, their top wide receiver. I don't know why I'm there it is. I'm just I don't know why I'm having trouble thinking of it. It's Amari Cooper. They have Amari Cooper, who's their top target. But he's got a good core of wide receivers. Ezekiel Elliott, who can catch out of the backfield, which is great and all. But I think they could be a run-heavy offense. He averaged under 250 yards a game last season. So that tells you that he's more of a QB2 than a QB1. But with his ability to extend the play and run out of the pocket if pressure comes, makes him into a QB1 status because he has the potential to get touchdown. He runs in for touchdowns all the time. He runs for big gains all the time, depending on zone or man defense. So I do think Dak Prescott is a QB. He's probably going to be a QB1 this year, but if you give Zeke 25, 30 touches a game, he's going to be more of a QB2 than a QB1. So Carson Wentz, injury prone. That's the reason why I have him at a QB2. He's got like I said, good wide receiver core, Nelson Aguilar, Alshon Jeffrey, etc., etc. He's too injury prone in my opinion, and that's why I really do think that Carson Wentz will be a QB2 this year in terms of fantasy point wise. If he gets hurt, he's going to be a QB2. He's going to be your backup quarterback instead. Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, who I think could be a QB1, but the problem is with Jared Goff is how healthy is this guy? How healthy is Todd Gurley right now? We keep talking about the knee thing from last year in the Super Bowl, and that's the reason why the Patriots won. It doesn't matter. Like, I really want to know how Todd Gurley is doing right now in terms of that knee, how healthy that knee is. Because if Todd Gurley is playing 50, 60, 70, 80%, like he's playing at that kind of status, he's not fully healthy, that knee's not fully healthy, we're looking at a QB2 status for Jared Goff, because Todd Gurley is what makes that offense go. So that's a huge thing there. I got Mitchell Trubisky. Phillip Rivers is a QB2 if Melvin Gordon leaves. If Melvin Gordon stays in LA, I think Phillip Rivers will be a QB1. The slingshot thrower, the sidearm thrower of Phillip Rivers, I think he could be a QB1 if Melvin Gordon stays with the Chargers. Then there's Big Ben. Big Ben's a QB2, just with the loss of Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. And then on top of all, they still got a good running back in James Conner. They got Juju. It's just like, and they have some upside wide receivers. I think James Washington for Pittsburgh is going to be their wide receiver too. And I think he's going to get a lot of targets and a lot of looks on plays that Juju is off. So Big Ben, QB2. Kyler Murray is a QB2, but I think with defenses not being prepared for him, he could have a QB1 status because of his ability to extend plays. Like I said, with the whole mobile quarterback thing, that their ability to extend plays and then not only do that, but use their legs as a threat, be a dual threat in that sense, could make them ultimately a QB1 status. So Kyler Murray's right now on the QB2 side. He could be a good backup quarterback, but it's all pending on those first 2 or 3 weeks to see how defenses respond to his level of play. Now, outside of that, quarterbacks you should never draft by far, and like Eli Manning is number one on that list. Do not touch Eli Manning. Do not Derek Carr's on the fringe of being my quarterback of not to touch, because it's just like he's on the downside of his career. He's had some injury moments here and there, but he had that one breakout year but that was when Khalil Mack was on the defensive side of the football. It's like, could he have that type of year? Yeah, if he had Amari Cooper and Antonio Brown on the same offense, but that's not going to happen right now. He could be a QB2 status, but I say Derek Carr is off the table right now. Jameis Winston off the table by far. Off the field antics. His inconsistency last year, 19 touchdowns, 14 interceptions during the season. Fitzmagic outplayed him, and Jameis Winston has more upside than Fitzmagic. So it's like, yeah, no, Jameis Winston, keep him off the table unless he starts playing really well. They just lost to Deshaun Jackson, who went back to Philadelphia. So it's like, stay away from him, bruh. So other quarterbacks you should get rid of or don't even touch. Sam Darnold, like I said in my first NFL video, Sam Darnold, if you want to win football games, you got to throw the football. They're going to be a better offense with Le'Veon Bell. The running game is going to be more consistent, but he's got to throw the football. He's got to give me that 220. I don't even, some games he doesn't even put up 225 passing yards. It's like, if you want to win football games, Sam Darnold, got to throw the football. Period. Joe Flacco, stay away from Joe Flacco. Inconsistency, 101, like Eli Manning. Cut the head off. Don't even touch Joe Flacco. I'm not saying, Denver fans, I'm not saying don't trust him. I'm just saying, in fantasy world, don't even, no. Please do not. And lastly, Andy Dalton. Just saying, like, Andy Dalton, he had a 4-interception game last season. You can't have those kind of games as a professional quarterback. Like, I'm sorry, if he was playing for Bill Belichick, I'm sorry, like, he would have been benched the next, like, half the season, the next 8 weeks for that kind of play. Like, he would have been benched so fast. He can't have those type of games. So, Andy Dalton's the last one on the list. Now, Quarterbacks to keep an eye on. Fitzmagic's one, and down there in Miami, it's gonna be a tough thing to see if it's gonna be him or Josh Rosen as a starting QB. I think it's gonna be Fitzpatrick though. I think he's got more experience under his belt. He's gonna be a better QB for the start of the season, unless he starts dying out. Then you got to put Rosen in, who's got way more upside. Keep an eye out on Dwayne Haskins in the for the Washington Redskins there. Defense, he's a pocket quarterback, great arm. We'll see how defenses react to his QB, to his level of play, and how defenses will adjust in the first 4 weeks. You got to give these rookie QBs the first 4 weeks of the season to prove whether or not they're worth, spending your time on and interest on in fantasy football. So you got to watch those first 4 weeks and see how consistent they really are. Nick Foles, potentially, it could have we all know about those magic carpet rides that Nick Foles had with the Philadelphia Eagles. Unfortunately, that ended against the New Orleans Saints. But my big thing is can Nick Foles bring that magic carpet ride to Jacksonville? And I believe he can. You got Leonard Fournette, Allen Robinson. There's other great wide receivers on that team. Good wide receivers on that team. But the big thing that's dependent for Nick Foles is, can Leonard Fournette stay healthy? That's the big thing. He was so injury prone last year. He was out for like 3 or 4 weeks with that hamstring injury. They brought him back too early. He re-injured it, and he was out the next 7-8 weeks. So that's a big thing for me is can Leonard Fournette stay healthy? The power back of the Jaguars, can he stay healthy? Marcus Mariota, another quarterback who's really good at extending plays. Good core wide receivers. He's still got Delaney Walker at the tight end spot. I would love to see Marcus Mariota creep up into that QB2 range. He can, but he's had some injury-prone moments too. Matthew Stafford's another one out of Detroit. They got Kenny Galladay, MJJ, Marvin Jones Jr. They got one of my favorite picks of the draft, T.J. Hawkinson out of Iowa, the Iowa Hawkeyes. I really do like T.J. Hawkinson. I think he's going to be a great fit for Matthew Stafford. So Matthew Stafford could be a QB2 status depending on how things, all that chemistry that happens. There's going to be a lot of chemistry between him, Kenny Galladay, and Marvin Jones Jr. But they did lose Golden Tate, and that's what makes me like on the fringe of saying, hey, don't pick him. You never know. He might actually have a good year this year. Matthew Stafford has had great statistic numbers the last few seasons in terms of yardage. Passing, touchdowns to interception ratio could be a little bit better, but he's one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. So it's only time will tell on how good Matthew Stafford is going to be this season. Jimmy Garoppolo. Hold up now. Like, this guy could have big-time potential. We all know him being that backup quarterback to Tom Brady for so many years. And the first 4 or 5 games he was with the 49ers, they won all 4 of those games. After starting off a season, 0-11, something, whatever it was. So Jimmy G, big potential. He's got George Kittle at that tight end spot, and George Kittle had a monster year with Nick Mullins at the QB spot. Can Jimmy Garoppolo give George Kittle the touches he needs? I think San Francisco, they're not gonna make the playoffs, but can they make noise and disrupt play in the NFC West? Definitely. I do think San Francisco can create problems in the NFC West, and give the Seahawks trouble, give the Rams trouble, because Jimmy Garoppolo is, I think he's got a lot of upside to him, but he's got to stay healthy. And last but not least, Josh Allen, quarterback who I think kind of took people off guard last year at the end of the season. He started putting up big fantasy numbers, big time. I think he had a 99-yard rush game or a couple of 75 plus yard rush games at the end of the season last year. So keep an eye out on him because fantasy point wise, he could be big. Like he could put up big numbers for you. Passing wise, doesn't really have the best group of wide receivers. I believe Calvin Benjamin is still with the Buffalo Bills. Shady McCoy's still there, but Shady McCoy's on the downside of his career, and it's just like, can Shady McCoy get another 1,000-yard season this year? Probably not. But I watch out for Josh Allen because another quarterback who extends plays and can run it and can use his legs and run up the field by himself. So, but man, that's just the quarterbacks. Stay tuned, please, for the next video, part 3 of the series, talking about running backs, obviously the do's and don'ts, who you should look for, and all that jazz. But one more thing, I just remembered, one more thing before we finish this video. Please, like, subscribe it, comment on it, see what you guys think. But also, if you're going to pick a quarterback, wait until round 8, like 7 or 8. I know some people are like dumb and they pick a quarterback early, so everyone starts picking a quarterback. Wait, be patient and pick a quarterback. Until that first person picks a quarterback, then pick a quarterback. But it's like you could stack up. If people start picking quarterbacks before you, you could stack up on running backs and wide receivers and tight ends and kill them that way with a mediocre quarterback than picking a quarterback, a really good quarterback, and having one good running back, one good wide receiver, and maybe a decent tight end. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, people start picking quarterbacks, I'm not saying don't go for it, but I'm just saying be careful because now you're missing out on running backs and wide receivers that could be big this year compared to a quarterback who's just sitting in the pocket and throwing the football around. So, but that is all the time I have for you guys today. I'm sorry this video kind of got prolonged a little bit, but, like I said, pay attention to bye weeks. Seriously, just pay attention to bye weeks. But thanks again, guys. Please comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I hope you guys have a great night, and I will see your faces later.